Welcome to the Illinois Institute of Technology Mies Campus Tour. It has been said that great architecture reflects, supports, and enhances the mission of a university. On today's tour, you will have a view of our renowned university, from the Romanesque main building of 1893 to Mies van der Rohe's mid-century modern buildings to the recently completed Kaplan Institute. This tour will give you descriptions and an overview of the buildings and landscape that comprise our magnificent Illinois Tech. By consensus, the most architecturally significant building on the IIT campus and designated a national landmark, S.R. Crown Hall was built to accommodate the school's programs of architecture, city planning, and design. The prospect of a building designed specifically for the pursuit of Mies's own discipline was especially close to his heart. Crown Hall, completed in 1956, is essentially a one-story building placed on a raised basement that requires visitors to go up a flight of steps to enter. Notice how the south porch appears to float and to place the building on a pedestal, much like a classical Greek temple. Inside, a pristine glass box, Mies utilized an unobstructed universal space that could be adapted to different uses as needs changed over time. Even the structural columns and roof girders are placed outside the building envelope. Over the decades, only freestanding walls and functional storage elements have defined the architectural studio spaces of this one-room schoolhouse. During the academic year, you will find this building alive with students and their work, a true testament to the lasting effect of Mies's design. And yes, as you probably all remember, the lights are still on all night long. The space also comes alive for lectures, parties, performances, and a spectacular open house, an annual exhibition of student work. 50 years after opening and in need of major repairs, Crown Hall is benefiting from a multi-phase project to restore and preserve this 20th century icon. IIT's Mies van der Rohe Society, committed to preserving the architectural heritage of Mies, assisted in the campaign to raise $4 million to fund this effort. Under the guidance of architects and IIT alumni Crick and Sexton, along with faculty member Gunny Harbo, endeavored to research, analyze, and execute every detail, which resulted in a textbook demonstration in the appropriate preservation of a modern architectural masterpiece. With the support of the College of Architecture and acclaim from architectural critics and historians, Crown Hall continues to have a relevant place in the education and inspiration of all who attend. Currently, the Mies Society is raising funds for the restoration of Crown's front door, its south porch, and steps. Directly south of Crown Hall is the 3410 South State Street building. Built in 1950 as a part of the complex of 5 buildings for the Institute of Gas Technology, this building has an exposed concrete structural frame that is infilled with Mies's signature brick and steel windows. The industrial character of the building is elevated by the careful execution of studied form and proportions. Today, it is being utilized by the university for additional classrooms and to house the Ph.D. program for the College of Architecture. The Minerals and Metals Research Building 1943 is the first building on campus by Mies. For the first time in his practice, and unlike the more typical use of masonry and concrete in Europe, the building employs the advantages of steel, a material more appropriate for Mies's perception of construction of the current time and place. Well suited to the needs of the day, steel seemed appropriate for a technological school. Mies constructed the entire frame of this building, vertical and horizontal members, of wide flange beams and columns infilled with glass and brick. Today, this building is used in part by the College of Architecture's model shop. Footlick Lane is this pedestrian walkway that extends over what used to be Dearborn Street from 33rd Street south to 35th Street. The City of Chicago accepted IIT's request that it be replaced with a path that is part of Mies's campus master plan. Footlick is named in honor of Irving Footlick, class of '39, and his wife Sylvia. The IIT Tower at the corner of State Street and 35th Street was built in 1964 to expand the IIT Research Institute's administrative and laboratory facilities. The architect, Schmidt, Garden, and Erickson utilized a 19-story tower engineered with a heavy concrete structural frame to resist disruptive vibrations from the nearby railroad tracks, yet take advantage of the efficiency of a contemporary office building. As the program for function of the space evolved, the tower currently accommodates the university's administrative offices, and excess space is leased to government agencies, nonprofits, and for-profit research companies. Galvin Library, 1962, by Walter Netsch of Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, was designed for the Paul V. Galvin Library. The building uses similar design principles to Mies's, but with very different techniques and details. Recently, a student gift campaign was a fundraising effort led by the students of Illinois Tech to give something back to their college community. This effort has helped to fund drinking fountains, new bike racks, and bike repair stations. The student gift campaign has been particularly generous to the library. The restoration of campus landscape has a history all of its own. Mies's tenure figures heavily in the development of the grounds as they present themselves today. During World War II, Mies struck up a relationship with Chicago landscape architect Alfred Caldwell, in whom he developed enough confidence to invite him to redesign the campus landscape. Caldwell was appointed to the faculty, and during the 1940s and 50s, he left his imprint on this campus. Noteworthy in the urban campus is Caldwell's devotion to native trees and greenery, as learned from his mentor Jens Jensen. Nearly everything he achieved is apparent today, but largely on account of the restorative efforts of later designers Michael van Valkenburg Associates with the assistance of Chicago-based landscape architect Peter Lindsay Schout to recreate Caldwell's work and restore it appropriately. Wishnick Hall, 1945-46. Mies programmed and planned this building as the chemistry building. The stylistic consistency of Mies's IIT classroom buildings was clearly established. Its exterior relates visibly to Alumni in Pearlstein, differing only in its height as a 3-story. Minor distinctions are in plan rather than primary structure. The foyer of Wishnick is located on the long side rather than the short side of the building. Like the auditorium it leads to, the entrance occupies the central 3 of 9 bays. As we will see in Pearlstein, the foyer side of the auditorium boasts a single curved surface of white oak millwork. The Mies Society fundraising effort helped to convert the building systems and renovations to the 2nd and 3rd floors and has created a state-of-the-art laboratory and classroom situation for academic purposes. Siegel Hall, 1954-55 by Mies van der Rohe, was programmed and planned also for the IIT Electrical Engineering and Physics building. Virtually identical to Wishnick Hall in plan and elevation, Siegel Hall differs only in function. Its 3-story height, together with its position directly across 33rd from its twin, also continued the next phase of Mies's master plan. Pearlstein Hall, 1944-46 by Mies van der Rohe, produced the Metallurgical and Chemical Engineering building. This, like a number of others on campus, follows the precedent of Alumni Hall. The distinction between primary and secondary structures, 1- and 2-way span structures, the expression of steel within the limitations of fireproofing, and the treatment of multiple elevations within a single building were confronted. Pearlstein Hall is sited closest to the corner of State and 33rd Streets, the intersection that effectively forms the gateway to campus. The lawn directly in front of it accommodates a single jet fountain designed by esteemed IIT professor Myron Goldsmith and is notable for its radial reductivist symmetry. Notable features of Pearlstein include a bilateral symmetry in plan, a wedge-shaped auditorium, white oak doors, as commonly found in Mies buildings, floating stairs, and beyond those stairs you'll see an open courtyard. At the end of the building to the north is a two-story operations laboratory. The main building, 1891-93, by architects Patton and Fisher. Main building was the first building constructed on this campus. It was built in 1890 and was a classroom building for the Armour Institute. Main is a Chicago landmark which had housed all administrative and academic offices. They have since moved out. It needed repairs resulting not only from age but from the vibration of nearby train tracks. This constant vibration had weakened the structure and foundation. It was in need of general modernization on the interior as well. The Board of Trustees have an arrangement for a private partner to renovate the building and are working with a developer to transition the space into micro-apartments. One of the most arresting interior features of the building is a group of 3 adjoining Tiffany glass windows that overlook the main staircase. The sculpture is called Man on a Bench, and it was donated to Illinois Tech on the centennial of Mies's birth in 1986. The only stipulation for its donation was that it had to sit on public land. So the base outlined by the concrete is actually the smallest park in Chicago. The figure seated on the bench appears to be surveying the meadow enclosed by Pearlstein and Wishnick Halls. George Siegel, the artist, said, "After my trip to Chicago, I found myself thinking of several things: the calm order of the campus, the memory of Mies, and the concerned sensitivity of the school to the surrounding community." Herman Hall is stylistically similar to many of Mies's buildings at IIT, but is not Mies. Designed in 1962 by Walter Netsch of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, it echoes Galvin Library with its glass curtain wall and internally supported huge plate girders spanning the roof. The heavy pebble aggregate reinforced concrete support columns inside suggest something of the scale of the clear spans. McCormick Auditorium, which seats 836 people, is cradled between those massive columns. Alumni Memorial Hall was completed in 1946 as Mies's first academic building for Illinois Tech. The building's sophisticated details make it worthy of attention, but it is in dire need of restoration. Because commercially available sections in either steel or aluminum were not affordable in the years immediately following World War II, custom-made steel sections were used in the building's hopper windows. It was originally called the Navy Building because it was built to house the U.S. Naval Training Program and contained a 2-story space used as an armory. It had all of the facilities needed to train a standing army, including a gunnery in the basement. It was renamed Alumni Memorial Hall, dedicated to alumni who died in World War II. After the war, a portion of the building was taken over by the Architecture School, which would move to Crown in 1956. In 1972, it suffered from a floor that was installed within the 2-story space and offices that were reorganized to accommodate other IIT departments. Still worthy of attention on the interior is the quality of white oak millwork and equally engaging simplicity in which it is crafted. The singular importance of Alumni Hall derives from its crucial place in the chronology of Mies's IIT buildings. It was here that he effectively brought to completion the vocabulary of form he had only begun to express in the Minerals and Metals Research Building. In this latter work, the wide flange was introduced, but in a sense, still tentatively, more visible on the interior than on the exterior. with the connections of beams and columns made by bolts rather than by the welding process used in later buildings. In this building, a distinction is made with uniquely perceptible clarity between the primary steel skeleton structure and the secondary structure of the exterior wall. The former consists of a wide flange column encased in fireproofing concrete and covered with steel plates, the latter of I-beams welded to those steel plates. Each of these components and their connections are expressively exposed at the corners, while a recessed channel between I-beam and brick infill avoided a possible untrue adjacency between the edges of the two materials. Moreover, the curtain mullions run regularly along the elevation at intervals of 12 feet. That dimension was determined by the module governing the campus layout and kept short enough to prevent the brick infill from cracking. The next 3 buildings were designed by Myron Goldsmith of Skidmore, Owings & Merrill. Modernized versions of Mies's buildings, the operable windows are gone and the glass is not divided. They were thought to be, at the time, simplistic modernizations of Mies's original classroom buildings. The John Ritaliata Engineering Center, 1968, by SOM Myron Goldsmith. A generous lead gift from Carol Pucci Ritaliata, the widow of John Ritaliata, IIT's second president, has allowed the university transformation of the E1 Engineering 1 building into a world-class facility rehabilitated by Mies's grandson and Mies Society and College of Architecture board member Dirk Lohan. Engineering students are enjoying the dynamic interdisciplinary environments within this building. The Robert Pritzker Science Center, 1966, is one of these buildings with the heaviest use on campus. This building has gone through significant renovations thanks to donors during the Fueling Innovation campaign. A gift from the Pritzker family has made possible the renovation of this life sciences building to create the Robert A. Pritzker Research Center. Phase 1 of the renovations had included, on the first floor of the building, a newly designed lobby at the west entrance that has helped to establish a visible presence of the sciences at IIT. The Harold Leonard Stewart Building, 1971, has housed the Office of Technology Services, Computer Science, and ROTC, named for the alum whose bequest of $5 million made its construction possible. Kaplan Family Institute for Innovation and Tech Entrepreneurship. Morton Park became the site of this recent building to campus. IIT Board of Trustees member Ed Kaplan, Mechanical Engineering 65, and his wife Carol created a $10 million challenge grant to begin construction of a new academic building on campus. The $40 million plus project was achieved 100% through philanthropic gifts. The Kaplan Institute brings together undergraduate and graduate students from each of IIT's 11 colleges and institutes, as well as members of the business community, by engaging the best minds and methods to find creative, sustainable solutions to the world's most pressing problems. The Institute helps to further distinguish IIT as a place where innovation is encouraged and entrepreneurs are created. Innovative thinking and multidisciplinary learning have been thriving at the Kaplan Institute. It has quickly become a centralized core for the development and acceleration of new technologies. It is also the home to the world-class Institute of Design. The Kaplan Institute houses and supports programming of the Interprofessional Projects (IPRO) program, the Entrepreneurship Academy, the Jules Knapp Entrepreneurship Center, the Granger Makerspace, and the Janet and Craig Duchessois Idea Shop. IIT selected John Ronan Architects, a Chicago-based, internationally recognized architecture and urban design firm, as the design architect for the Kaplan Institute. Ronan is also a professor with the College of Architecture here at IIT. We are in the heart of Illinois Tech's campus. The 110,000 square foot, one-story McCormick Tribune Campus Center houses dining facilities, a radio station, a theater, meeting rooms, the bookstore, a coffee cafe, convenience store, post office, and student activities offices. As you move through and around, you'll recognize the original Commons building designed by Mies van der Rohe and built in 1953, incorporating a connection into the northeast corner of the MTCC. Both buildings were designed to serve student and faculty social activities rather than for academic purposes, and accordingly, both are located close to the campus housing and fraternity complex. The Campus Center serves both the academic and residential sides of our campus, making creative use of deserted land underneath the L tracks, and it provides a social hub for the campus. The architect Rem Koolhaas spread the building out on one level over the entire site. He designed a reinforced concrete-supported tube spanning a full city block. The tube sits directly above the building's concrete roof and significantly muffles train noise and vibration. The location of the tube also allowed Koolhaas to make full use of the ground under the train tracks. The Welcome Center houses the Founders Wall, designed by Michael Rock, and uses circular icons to depict key individuals who have shaped IIT, including the faces of Philip Danforth Armour, the founder of Armour Institute, Robert Pritzker, Regent of IIT, Henry Townley Heald, President of IIT 1940 to 52, Frank Wakely Gonzalez, first President of Armour Institute, Alan Cleveland Lewis, founder of Lewis Institute, Robert Galvin, Regent of IIT, Mies van der Rohe, architect. Unlike the others, Mies did not have a guiding administrative role, but his inclusion here is an indication of how important his campus design is to both Illinois Tech and architectural history. Other points of interest in the MTCC include the fact that the floors in the building are all color-coded. Orange is for academic activities, green is for recreation, and gray or the brushed aluminum floors are for pedestrian paths. The aluminum floors are individual tiles that have been electrically grounded. They are the largest continuous brushed aluminum floor in North America. The Mies Bridge provides a view of Mies's Commons building corners. Bob Potter's Alley, named for IIT trustee Bob Potter, is an excavated area painted a vibrant red-orange that houses a public computer lab. Center Court Food serves the IIT community and the public. In the evening, this area hosts live music, movies, meetings, and other activities. The Hanging Garden was originally intended to be a bowling alley, but the current garden brings natural light into the center of the structure, along with prairie landscaping that contrasts the high-tech nature of the building. The Armour Society wall honors families that have given $1 million or more to IIT. You'll find this recreational area filled with video games, foosball, ping pong tables, and more. Carr Chapel by Mies, built in 1952, is his only ecclesiastical work. It is fondly referred to as the God Box. The chapel is modest, both in planning and scale. It is a one-story building measuring 37 by 60 feet. Its elevations are identical, although the glass on the front, east-facing side, is clear, while that on the west is sandblasted translucent. Support is provided by brick-bearing walls, which, like the steel frame roof, are fully visible from within. The plan is that of a basilica with 2 side aisles and a center aisle leading to the sanctuary. In this instance, Mies's inclination toward refined materials employed with the utmost simplicity is evident. The altar is a solid block of Roman travertine resting upon a platform of the same substance. Slender pieces of highly polished stainless steel form the cross and the altar rail. The curtain behind the altar is of natural shantung silk and can be positioned to conceal the cross as appropriate for occasional ecumenical programs. At the rear of the chapel, accessible through wall panels and doorways lined with white oak, are the sacristy, choir, and restrooms. At 50 years old, the building underwent a significant restoration program. Again, the Mies Society led the campaign to promote the effort and raise funds to preserve the pure elegance of one of Mies's most iconic structures. Kasich Hall, 1955 by Mies van der Rohe, is our newest renovation project to student housing. Following the close of World War II, Illinois Tech's enrollment increased and created need for new residential space for staff, faculty, and students. This led to the construction of the 4 residential towers. The first was designed by Skidmore, Owings & Merrill, but the next 3 were Mies. Built in reinforced concrete, they rely on a structural system that recalls his treatment of the Promontory apartment building completed in 1949 on South Lakeshore Drive. Like the 860-880 apartment buildings, Mies set the fully glazed ground floor lobby back from the facade to align the columnar grids of all 3 buildings on the site. George J. Kasich Hall, named after alumnus George J. Kasich, Electrical Engineering 54 and Master of Science 55, opened its doors for the first time in August 2020. Kasich Hall is a legacy building by Mies, revitalized by alumnus, architect, and College of Architecture professor Dirk Dennison. It imbues classic modernism with a vibrant new living experience for first and second year students. We are facing our other noteworthy student housing project, named recently in recognition to their philanthropy. The Jean and John Rowe Village was completed in 2003. When Mies arrived in 1938, State Street was a buzzing entertainment zone known as the Stroll. This is where much of the development of modern jazz, blues, and gospel music took place from 1920 to 1950. In 1996, Mayor Richard M. Daley joined Illinois Tech's 2 great benefactors, Robert Galvin of Motorola and Robert Pritzker of the Marmon Group, in an unprecedented agreement to rebuild the campus. The city of Chicago built new police headquarters at the south end of the campus to show its commitment to this part of the city. As part of the city's streetscape program, the mayor also funded the transformation of State Street and 33rd Streets as they passed through the campus. Jean and John Rowe Village was designed by famed architect and alumnus Helmut Jahn. Some of Jahn's best-known contributions to the built environment include the United Terminal at O'Hare International Airport and the James R. Thompson Center in Chicago. The village provides another creative use of space along the L tracks. It has an elegant glass wall that also muffles sound and provides a new visual setting for the campus. Instead of creating a block-long building that would put up another barrier, Jahn designed a series of pavilions linked by landscape courtyards, glass-walled lobbies, and passages between the academic and residential sides of the campus that make the building semi-transparent. The 3 U-shaped buildings house 367 undergraduate and graduate students. Each courtyard is lined at the rear by insulated glass walls that rise to the full height of the building. Every room has floor-to-ceiling windows and views of a courtyard. The corrugated metal on the exterior resembles the exterior of a train car, mimicking the elevated train just beyond. The Illinois Institute of Technology's Mies campus is universally recognized as a landmark in the history of modern architecture and education. We hope that you have enjoyed our tour today and that it refreshes some memories and preserves an interest in staying connected with Illinois Tech.